Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. We are going to talk today about how to land media coverage, and I promise it's easier than you think. We overcomplicate it so much, and we don't need to. It's pretty basic. So let's get started. My name is Breanne Gorbett. I'm the owner of Brand New Adventures Marketing. I'm a former journalist, and my husband is still in the business. That's actually how we met. I have a few awards behind me. Most are still at the news station, luckily where my husband still works. So I still get up-to-date information on what's going on, what the new procedures are for everything, and I get to hear some really fun stories about what's going on. So let's talk about how to get some media coverage for you and your clients.
I also want to point out that I'm 39 weeks pregnant while recording this, so if at any point it sounds like I am out of breath, it is because I am. We are expecting our first boy, our second child, in the coming days, so we're going to get right to this training.
So one thing you need to know is how a news station operates. And this will really help whenever you are trying to figure out who you need to talk to and just how it works in general. So you have your station manager or your general manager. That's who just oversees the station. Next, on the news side, the one that matters to what you're doing, you have your news director. And that's the person that hires and manages the day-to-day news operations. So if there's an anchor or a reporter that you are talking to, have a problem with, or you just really think that your story merits everything that you got, the news director is the person to talk to. The assistant news director is second in charge of the newsroom, followed by, depending on how the hierarchy is at the station, your executive producers, your anchors and producers. Those are kind of interchangeable depending on the news station and how they operate. Your assignments desk, not all news stations have these, but those are generally the people that will answer the phone whenever you call in with your tips. And you have reporters and finally photographers. When you're compiling your email list, you really need to focus on anchors, producers, assignments desk, and reporters. You can find all of their contact information on the Meet Our Team or the Contact Us page. Sometimes those are a little tricky to find, so if you need to, you can type in the media outlet that you're looking for and then Meet Our Team into a Google search and it'll pop right up. Whenever you're looking for them, sometimes they have specialties listed under their names, so you could have lifestyle reporters, crime reporters, so on and so on, and those are the people that, depending on what you're pitching, you really need to be looking at. If you find a reporter on the Meet Our Team page that really speaks to you, if they have something that you have in common with, go ahead and jot that down. You might want to include that in your email pitch. Anything that can make it more relatable to the reporter will help you in the long run. I do want to point out that if you send something to news operations, community relations, or stations operations, they do not actually work in the newsroom. They work in other parts of the news buildings. So they won't look at your press release and they probably won't forward it on. So that's just a good, helpful tip moving forward. When you are contacting a journalist, definitely feel free to call. They love talking to people just as much as you do. Don't do it during a newscast or during lunch. A newscast, there's limited staff because they're out on their stories, they're doing their live hits, they're trying to get their web stories up, or they're just on camera or helping out behind the scenes. And then lunch, everybody runs. Journalists are the hungriest people on the face of the earth. I don't understand it, but everyone scrams during lunch. So don't call during those times. Call any other time though, because they will talk to you and they will give you a more personalized email address and actually be looking for that email. If you are going to email and do a blast email, make sure that you BCC everyone. There is nothing more annoying for a journalist than to see everybody else that you're pitching the same story to. News likes exclusivity. So make sure that you are pitching in a way that portrays that. If you did call and talk to someone on the phone, make sure that whenever you send that email, you thank them for their time and you personalize it with their name. You can also personalize your email pitch if you have found someone on the Contact Us page and thank them for taking the time to read it. But you can also feel free to send non-personalized emails to the assignment desk. Those are monitored at all times of the day, and they know that you don't know their name, and that's okay.
I also wanted to point out a reporter's typical day, just so you kind of have an idea of what's going on. So reporters will come in, they'll be looking at their emails. At 9:30 to about 10:15, it depends on the news station, they'll do their morning meetings. That's where they pitch what stories they're going to do and they get their assignments. So that's going to take up the first little bit of their mornings. And then after that, they're going to go out in the field. They're going to be calling people for interviews at their desk. They're going to be conducting those interviews, shooting the video, doing all their fact checking, and have lunch. So the morning is whenever they do all of their really interacting with people for the story. They come back from lunch, and there's usually an afternoon meeting where everyone will say what their updates are, if they're having trouble with the story, other ways that people can help. They might need to transition off of your story. That's one of the most frustrating things about being a journalist is you can work on something all day and then all of a sudden there's breaking news and you have to abandon the story and go somewhere else. If that happens, it's okay. They will probably come back and try to do it the next day, especially if it's an evergreen story that, can happen later on in the week or into the next week. So don't worry if it doesn't air that same day. So afternoon meetings, they're doing all of their checks. Then they'll start cutting down their interviews, writing their story, getting the approvals from the bosses on making sure that their story is well written. Then they get to do all of the video editing, the publishing of it, and then do the web story. And depending on what kind of day it is, they could have a live shot in one of the afternoon newscasts or do it in the studio. So it's kind of different every day for a reporter. It depends on what their story is, what the news of the day is. That's one of the most exciting things about journalism and being a journalist is it's not the same every day. And it's always something new and there's an adventure. So I know we talked about producers for a little bit. This is what I did for most of my time as a journalist, but I wanted to point out why you should friend a producer. So producers don't have contracts. Reporters usually have contracts for 2 to 3 years, as well as the anchors. So producers usually stick around the station for longer. So those people are going to be your big contacts that you want to make because they're going to be there for a long time and they get fewer pitches. So everyone wants to be friends with the people that are on television, not the people that are actually writing, editing, stacking the show, and making the news happen. A producer is the person that is in the background making sure that the entire newscast is getting done. So they are writing everything that the anchors are reading. They're editing all the videos for it. They're making sure whenever they're putting the show together how the layout is. So what story's coming first? What story's coming second? So you want to friend a producer to make sure that you are closer to the top of the show, especially if it's a big story. And then once you friend a producer, you'll have more loyalty because as a producer, you know that people are more likely to try to be friends with the anchors and the reporters. So if you have a contact with a producer and you can feed them stories, they're much more likely to try to get the best reporter on it for you and pitch it in the meetings as well. So make sure that if you can, I would talk to a producer, try to make, some sort of contact with them and then some sort of relationship with them to make sure that you are always getting not only a reporter or an anchor on your side, but a producer as well that's going to look out for you.
Another really important thing that you need to know is when to hit send. So everyone will probably wake up on a Monday morning and that's their first thing that they're going to do. They're going to send a press release to the news station to try to get coverage all week. That is not when you want to send your press release. Everyone does it, so you don't want it to get lost. So my suggestion is do it on a Tuesday or Wednesday. That is a slow email day for journalists, and you want to make sure that whenever you take the time to write a press release, it's not going to get lost. You also want to do it after 8:30 in the morning because just like you, journalists are getting all of their spam emails. about the sales that are going on, and you don't want to get lost in that. So do it after 8:30. Morning meetings also happen around 9 or 10. So if you send it around that time, they're usually in the meeting checking their emails. So between 9 and 10 is a great time to send that email. You can also send your email after 1 p.m. Usually that is after everyone has come back from their lunch, and between 1 and 3 is when another news meeting is happening. And that will make sure that the people that are working the night side shift will be able to see it. So night side shifts are usually around 2 to 11. That's how they get on the 10 o'clock news, at least down here. So you want to make sure that that is present and one of the first things in their email. Whenever you're writing a press release, you need to make sure that you are doing it in the same way you would a social media post. You need to grab their attention, and you need to grab it fast. Journalists are so busy, and they get hundreds, if not thousands, of emails a day. So if you don't really grab their attention fast, it's not going to get looked at. So you need to include how the story will affect the local community in your pitch. If it's an event, you can send it 1 to 2 weeks in advance, and then you can follow up a few days before. You can do your follow-up over a phone call. You can do it over email. If someone has messaged you, feel free to message them back. Sometimes you won't get something back from a journalist just because they do get all of those emails, but it could still be in their planner. So just because you don't get something whenever you send an email about an event doesn't mean that it's not on their radar, but you want to make sure that you are following up just to make sure that they do remember, because again, they have a lot of emails. You need to make it easy on the journalists as well. So if you have pictures or someone that you know has a great story that will be available for interview, let them know that. If there's video that you can give beforehand, say for a restaurant opening, if there's construction video of everything coming down and, your restaurant being rebuilt, add that to the press release. That just makes it easier on the journalist. And then make sure that you're including other video opportunities, because if there's no video, then there's no real reason for the news to come out. So remember that in every step of writing your press release. Where's the video? Where's the video? Where's the video? If you're writing a press release about something that's not an event, feel free to follow up in a week with a call and see if it's anywhere on the newsroom's radar. And then you can follow up again one more time with an email or another call. Don't badger them though, because they will remember your name and it'll be harder for you to get coverage in the future. Now let's talk about what to include in a press release. Again, just like in a social media post or an ad, you need to make it interesting, and it needs to be able to be grasped in about 5 to 10 seconds. You need to really grab their attention. You also need to make sure that you have the location where this is taking place. Local stories get a lot more attention than other stories, so you need to really make sure that whatever you are pitching really applies to the news station's viewing area. You also need to have a really good person for the press to reach out to whenever they decide to do the story. So they need to have their phone or their email next to them so they can really make sure that they don't miss a call, because nothing is more frustrating for a journalist than to go back to the news director and say that they couldn't get anyone to answer the phone. So make sure that whoever you have on there, that they are available that day and maybe 2 days after, and are by their phone and ready to answer it or answer any emails. Also, when you're writing your press release, make sure that you're giving the information in the order of importance that it goes in. Just like whenever you're reading something on Facebook or social media, if something's boring at the top, you're not going to make it down to the juicy stuff at the bottom. So make sure that you have the really good stuff at the top and then all of the other details going towards the bottom. Some additional tips whenever you are writing your press release. You can ask yourself, is it newsworthy? Have you ever seen anything like what you're pitching on the news? Journalists will not do a free ad for you. So don't Don't clog their emails with things that you know aren't newsworthy, especially if you want additional coverage in the future. I saw on a group the other day that someone said that you should reach out for a press release whenever you change your website. Please don't do this, because you don't want to be known as the person that sends a press release for every little thing, because they won't take you seriously whenever you do have something really great that they should cover. Grammar also matters. If there is bad grammar, it will hurt a journalist's heart. So make sure that you really do a good spell check on it, and don't ever pitch anything as first annual. If it is the first time to do an event, you can say inaugural, but don't say first annual, because I know a ton of journalists who, if it says first annual, they will immediately put it in the trash. It is a big pet peeve in the journalism realm. Subject also matters. Again, going back to social media, if you don't grab their attention, they're not going to bite. So make sure that your email subject is a winner. Make sure for your key points that you have all 5 W's in your pitch: the who, what, when, where, and why. Journalists could or could not contact you depending on the day. So make sure you have all that information, because if it's an event that you're planning for, they might not contact you about it. They might just put your press release up on the web or on their Facebook page. So make sure you have all the information up there, just so if they do share it, then you have all the information ready for the public. Pitch, please. So whenever you are planning your pitch, you need to, again, make sure that you are standing out somehow. So you can disarm them with a joke, a startling statistic, or a question. If you say that however many births are premature each year, that's usually a startling statistic. If you come out with a joke, you will immediately be a journalist's best friend, especially if there are dads in the room, because there are a lot of dad journalists in the room usually, and they love all of the corny jokes. I know my husband does. For visuals, if you can't convey a visual for your story, it either won't be one, or it will at most be on the web. So again, going back to, does it have video? Do you have pictures? Is there something that you can think of that will make this story appealing? Make sure that you think of all those things and try to include them in your press release. And then again, going back to the 5 W's, the who, what, when, where, why, I would put them in your actual email as well and break it out. And that will just help whenever a journalist is looking through their emails. And then, of course, attach your full press release in the email as an attachment. So you might be asking yourself, what's newsworthy? A product launch is always something fun that journalists like to get, so make sure that you tell them why it matters to their audience. A partnership, if your company is partnering with a major brand or local celebrity, I can't guarantee it'll get picked up, but it can't hurt, and that's not something that will probably get lost in the newsroom email. Make sure that you're pitching large events, so if there's a big walk for a nonprofit or a fun run, make sure that you're pitching that. Restaurant openings are always fun for the news to cover, both for the journalist and for the people watching at home, and it does really, really well on social media. So since it's doing well on social media for the news, it's certainly going to do well for you. And again, events with visuals. Always remember, visuals are key. You can also pitch research and awards. So if there's a research breakthrough or an award, you can end up in a small story or online. Sometimes those on a slow news day, those can be lifesavers in a newsroom, but for the most part, those are going to be smaller stories. If you really want to stand out, then you can attach your press release to a warm cookie delivery or an edible arrangement or something that your town is known for. Food is absolutely key to a journalist's heart. Be sure to send some food, especially if you are working with a restaurant and they are opening a new location or it's a new restaurant completely. Make sure that you bring up some food to the newsroom. It will not hurt, it will only help, and I can almost guarantee you that you will get coverage, especially if the food is really good. So, food journalist equals you getting a lot of press coverage.
Now, I've given you plenty of tips on how to get media coverage, but I wanted to show you an example of one of the press releases that I sent out for a client right before Thanksgiving and Christmas. And I want to just reiterate, if you are sending an email blast, make sure that you BCC everyone on it and make sure that you have a catchy subject, because again, you want to capture that attention as soon as you can and keep everyone on their toes waiting to see what you've sent, owner. So I want to show you what the email body says. So it says, "Good morning. As the holiday season begins, family and friends often start to notice the first warning signs of memory loss or the need for assistance. This business owner is an engaging local business owner who can offer expert advice on assisted living and memory care. See the attached press release for more information. Please let me know if I can help you book an interview with this business owner, or if you have any questions. Have a great Wednesday." So you can see I sent it on a Wednesday. I also sent it 2 weeks before Thanksgiving, and that helps. One, with the response time. Journalists are trying to go ahead and start thinking about what they're going to be doing over Thanksgiving and Christmas. Oftentimes, those are super slow times. So that was a good time to go ahead and send this. And then, of course, I have all of my contact information. Here is an example of the actual press release. The headline needs to be in all bold, and as you can see, it says, "Local memory care expert shares secrets for finding a great home for loved ones." So all bold, it needs to really start catching the attention. In the body, let's go ahead, and I've underlined some things that are super important so you can kind of see how this is set up and how, we had talked about those really engaging facts, surprising rates. Those are underlined for you so you can see that, we're really trying to grab the journalist's attention and make this something that they want to jump at. So it says, "November is Alzheimer's Awareness Month. With more than 5.8 million people in the U.S. living with the disease, we know a good portion of your audience has been affected." Again, showing that you know who their audience is so you can be the expert and tell them, hey, this is a really good story. "Alzheimer's is one of the leading causes of death in seniors, more prevalent than breast and prostate cancers combined." I thought that was a big fact because basically we all know someone that has gone through breast cancer, either a family member or a friend or a close friend or family member of someone close to us. In fact, one in three seniors will die with Alzheimer's disease. Even scarier, between 2000 and 2017, heart disease deaths decreased by 9%, while Alzheimer's deaths increased by more than 145%, according to the Alzheimer's Association. Again, we're just going to hit them with those startling facts, really make sure that they know that, we mean business and we know what we're talking about and we can help their audience. We've all seen someone go through this terrible disease that not only affects a person, but their friends and families as well. Now more than ever, families need help trying to decide the best care for their loved ones. Again, we're hammering home that we know what's best for their audience. So the press release continues. "Business owner and his wife has seen this problem firsthand, and they're changing the way Texas does assisted living and dementia care. The homes are different than large apartment-style homes or traditional living communities. They offer small, home-like environments to help seniors in their transition to assisted living with license for memory care. This business owner is available to share his expertise and help your audience understand what to be looking for when finding homes or care, as well as signs your loved one may be in the early stages of Alzheimer's." Again, we're just hammering home that we know that their audience has a problem with this and we know how to help, and we have an expert that will be able to not just try to sell them on living there, but say, hey, these are things to look for. These are things to look for whenever you're looking for a home or someone coming into your home. Here are the options. Again, you are just setting up that you are the expert. So again, I told you we need to make this as easy as possible for the journalist to kind of digest because, again, they're super busy. So I included talking points. What are the warning signs that can help detect dementia early? Memory loss, difficulty completing tasks, confusion with time and place, misplacing objects, withdrawal from family, friends, social activities, or work. Those are all things that my expert could talk about. It also includes what families should be looking for in senior care facilities. If there's specialized training, certifications that they can go to, safety, the size of the home. Some people don't do well in bigger homes. So this is something that, if they need a smaller home, that's something to definitely be looking for, and something that, unless you're going through it, you don't know to be looking for that. So we want to make sure, again, that we're the expert. And then what families should know if they decide to make the transition. So you've decided that you're going to do it, you're going to move your family member into a home. How can you make this easier? We have an expert that can talk to you about that too, all gift wrapped into a nice little package. And then at the end of your press releases, you want to make sure you have 3 hashtags, and that symbolizes it's the end of your press release. And then you do your media contacts. So for this one, it was the business owner name, his number, his email, and then you need to do your mission statement or something similar, and then your website so they can get more information. Also, at the end of this press release, I included that we had video of the home going up, of the commercial footage that they shot of their nurses and some of their patients that live in the home, just so the journalist didn't have to go find more video or more pictures to put in their story. Because again, if you're doing something for the news, it needs to have a lot of visuals. So we're again putting this nice little ribbon on top of this package that says, hey, here's a story. This is really easy for you to do. Here's the talking points. Here's video. Here's the times that we can talk to you. You're not giving them a reason to not contact you. So we have everything with a nice little gift wrap ready to go for the journalist.
Thank you so much for sitting through this presentation. I hope that you have some new ideas and tips on how to write that press release and how to pitch it to the media. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me, Breanne Gorbett, at brandnewadventuresmarketing.com. I would love to help you with examples and tips on what to do whenever the media does reach out to you. So go ahead and send me an email. I'd love to chat. I hope that you have enjoyed and learned so much through this.